What up guys? Welcome to my power meal in under 10 minutes. And this meal is specifically designed for those who are trying to get stronger. Not trying to get lighter, because if you get lighter, generally you get weaker, and not trying to get heavier, because if your lifts don't match up, you're technically gonna be weaker based off your DOT score. So ideally, what we're trying to do is recomp your body, meaning at the same weight, we wanna reduce the fat, increase the muscle, which is why the macros for this meal is 80 grams of protein, 25 grams of fat, and 50 grams of carbs. So if you eat 2 of these a day, that's already 160 grams of protein. You pound a double scoop of the world famous Barbell Brigade protein shake, that's another 50 grams, you're already at 210. Or if you're a big mofo and you eat 3 of these meals, that's 240 grams of protein at once, with a 3-to-1 protein to fat ratio and a 2-to-1 carb to fat ratio, which in my opinion is the best power macro ratios that you can have. You have the amount of protein that you need to build muscle, just enough carbs to fuel your workouts but not to gain weight, and just enough fats so that you feel satiated. You guys ready? All right, so when you're trying to make a meal and you want to save time, I like to do what I call one pot cooking. You don't want to manage a bunch of pots at different times like a DJ, because you're gonna waste so much time. You want to throw everything on one pot but still taste delicious. So I always start off with a rice cooker. You should always have rice cooking in the background at all times if you're trying to save time. Now on to the delicious part. So you might be saying, what the heck are these guys? Not sponsored. I'm a big fan of these quick steaks. So what these are shredded up sirloin steaks. Sirloin. They're shredded up sirloin steaks made for Philly cheesesteaks. So all it is if you don't have these at your supermarket, you can get frozen sirloin steaks and then just shave them up. So it comes into nice thin pieces so you can stir fry later. What I like about these is they've already been pre-shaven and you can go straight from the freezer into the pan. Once I found these, I was like, oh man, these are a game changer. So the order that I'm gonna cook it in is you always gotta start with the garlic, and then you throw in the spinach so it shrinks down. And right when it's about half cooked, I throw in these bad boys. And after that, I found some of this beef broth, and I got specifically this brand because this whole carton is 20 grams of protein pretty much. So if you pour in half, that's an additional 10 grams of protein while adding 0 grams of fat. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to increase as much protein as possible without adding too much fat. And at the end, to top it all off, I sprinkle in a little bit of ponzu, and this is kind of like my version of what I call like the Asian monster mash. Shout out to Stan Eferdine, who created the monster mash, which is a great meal when you're trying to build muscle, stay lean, and get strong. This is a different version of it with very similar ingredients in under 10 minutes time. So you guys ready to cook? Okay, so first off, we're gonna dice up this garlic. And if you're like, yo, why does that garlic look like that color? Don't mind it. It's kind of old, but since this is an Asian household, we don't let nothing go to waste. So usually the garlic doesn't come almost clear like this. They're usually white or almost like bone white, but these ones you might even call fermented garlic, which in an Asian household just means more flavor, you know what I mean? So to save even more time, what I would probably do is before even doing this, I would backtrack over here like this and turn on the stove. Because sometimes it takes a minute for the pan to get hot. So when you're trying to save time, if you're trying to get strong within time constraints, you gotta multitask, you know what I mean? So I got this garlic going on right here. Almost done. Squished them, so now they're all nice and flat. Now I'm ready to chop them up. Now that I got these diced up, I'm ready to move on over to the pan. When it comes to having a meal that's low in fat, low in calories, you always want to try to get a fat-free cooking spray, which is what I have here. So I usually have the pan on high to bring the heat up and heat up the pan. But the minute I'm ready to put the oil on so I don't burn the oil, I bring it down to a medium. And we gotta turn the vent on. Now that we got the pan ready to go and we got the oil, you can see that it's liquefying. Throw this amazing garlic in here. Ooh, look at that. Nothing smells better than garlic that's about to rot. Mix it around in there. If you're like me and you got a baller pan like this, it doesn't take too long. So I'm already ready to throw my stuff in here. Take the spinach, throw this bad boy in here. Try to keep the spinach in the pan, okay? Don't have it fall out of the pan. And then toss it around just a little bit. As it heats, it will shrink down. Now, get L scissors, and I get my quick steaks. So these things are really cool. They even come with some seasoning if you're gonna do a Philly cheesesteak, but we're not gonna use that, okay? Because we're doing Asian monster mash. So you can see it's wilting already, which is exactly what we want. See how much smaller it gets? And like I said, try to keep the spinach in the pan, okay? That's not what you guys are doing. You guys have spinach all over the place like me. Don't do that. Woo! Garlic and spinach is always a good combination. So before we throw the meat in, I always like to season real quick. You want to season almost every layer. So here's just a little sprinkle of salt in the beginning, just to make sure the spinach picks that up, right? And then now, I'm about to turn it up high because we're about to throw in some frozen pieces of meat in there, which is gonna drastically change the temperature of the pan. So we wanna throw it in high. You can see that it's like pre-shredded sirloin. Throw these bad boys in here, like that. And it comes with this. This is the seasoning I was talking about. We don't need that, unless you're making Philly cheesesteaks. But just throw these in here like that. Make sure the meat hits the pan though, and it's not blocked by the spinach. So when I said 10 minutes, I mean 10 minutes. I also didn't mean pretty. So for those of you guys that are like, damn, that looks like shit, it might, all right? It might look like shit, but I did not say a pretty 10-minute meal. I said a power meal. You're gonna get strong on this, and it's gonna taste decently good, but it's not gonna look pretty. Plus, if you wanted to be pretty, you'd be into bodybuilding, okay? We're powerlifters here. So make sure all the meat touches the pan. What's cool about meat too is that it comes built in with fat. So you don't need to actually have like that much oil for it to not stick. So I'll leave it like here, like this, and let heat do its course while cleaning up. Because if you have a wife like me, wives are known to nag, and they will come at you. They go, who just made the 10-minute power meal in the kitchen and didn't clean it up? And I'm like, that was me. Also take this time to season it again. I'm just using some basic garlic salt. You can never have too much garlic. And one thing I really like is, with meat, is onion. I feel like onion really brings out the beefy flavor. So just some onion powder. Make sure it's not onion salt, okay? Because then you're gonna double salt it, and then it's gonna be too salty. So here's some onion salt. I mean, not onion salt, I just said it's not onion salt, Jesus. So I'm just breaking it up a little bit just to kind of help the meat fall apart and get a little bit more heat in between the slices. And don't mind the dog in the background. That's just me. So once the meat is nice and loose and it's not frozen and hard anymore, and you want to just kind of feel around for it, now it's time to kind of mix it up with the spinach. Because the whole point of like a monster mash type meal is you want it to be mashed, where every bite has a little bit of veggies, a little bit of meat, a little bit of carbs, and it makes it very easy to chew, to digest, and you just pound the meal real quick. So I might even take some scissors to the spinach just so it splits up a little bit better. So yeah, take some scissors and go yoink, 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 yoink. And you can add as much spinach as you want depending on your preference. For me, I really like meat, so I almost do the bare amount of spinach. I used 1 bundle, but you could totally use 2 or 3 bundles. If you're trying to stay full, I would highly recommend adding even more because the fiber will keep you satiated. But for me, for taste right now, I only have 1 bundle of spinach to 2 packs of this meat. Forgot 1 little bit of seasoning, just a little bit of black pepper, just simple black pepper, just to sprinkle it on there. Black pepper like brings out the beefiness too. So those are technically like the only 3 spices you need. Garlic salt, onion powder, and black pepper. Woo, yep, the black pepper, you could just, as soon as it heats up, you go, I like that smell. So right when the meat looks like it's about to be well done, then you get this guy right here, and we're pouring half. We'll save the half for some other time. And it might look a little weird. You're like, damn, that looks kind of liquidy. Or you might be like, oh, that looks bomb. The whole point of why you want it to be a little bit liquidy is later, when you mix this up with the rice, ooh, the flavors of the bone broth, the meat, the garlic with the rice and the ponzu all mixed together truly makes a monster mash. And it tastes really, really good like that. So once we have the bone broth boiling, I would say to let it really soak in, maybe give it like a little 2 minutes on medium, and ready to rock and roll. Hey Google, 2-minute timer.
All right, 2 minutes, and that started now.
So while the 2-minute timer is going on, to save even more time, I'm gonna prep the carbs, which is 1 cup of rice. So take 1 cup, and when they talk about 1 cup of rice in all those cookbooks, they're talking about cooked rice, okay? So you have to make sure to be very careful because you could easily double the amount of carbs that you're taking and you're like, wait, I'm following these diet cookbooks, but I'm gaining weight. It's 1 cup of cooked rice. Hey Google, stop. All right, now that that's done, I got the rice. I like to mash it down, make a nice little foundational layer of carbs. Go over here, turn off the fire. Mix it around just one more time. Make sure all the bone broth and all the good stuff is everywhere. And then, so this is enough for 2 servings. So you would just scoop half. But for the sake of camera, and because I'm gonna share with some friends that are coming over, I'm only gonna scoop like about 1/3 of it. You take this, see that? Piping hot. Woo! Then you get in what some countries call el spuno. Get the ponzu, and just a quick little cinnamon swirl. And then here's my favorite part. Mix it all together. You see that? Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. Look at that. Damn, playa. Asian monster mash. Power meal in 10 minutes. 80 grams of protein if you split in half, okay? So if you split in half, 80 grams of protein, 25 grams of fat, and 50 grams of carbs for a meal that is under 800 calories. Look at that. Everything in 1 spoonful. So this power meal is something I would recommend for anyone that's trying to get strong, and it follows the principles and guidelines in our brand new strength program, Get Strong, under the nutrition section. So if any of you guys are trying to get strong or be the best version of yourself this year, our Get Strong program is now available. Go to the link in the description below and get strong with me this year. Go to barbellbrigade.com. Bang.